Morning, everyone. Hey, how about Margie? Margie doing a good job? Yeah, that's right. You got to put up with her for another 3 years. I know that much. That's how long I'm going to be here. You're on your own after that, Margie. I hate to tell you. Well, good morning, everyone. What a crowd. On the way down, I said, where are they meeting at? I said, oh, they're going down to the lodge. I said, I sure thought all them educators would be at Margaritaville after last year. I thought you'd all be there and needing to spend a little time there. I thought if you was, I might join you on that. So good to have everybody here today. 3 years ago when I first came in here and I spoke to you, and all of you know the history behind that, the turmoil and everything. I remember coming into the room and all of you here, and honestly, I was nervous. I mean, I was like, you educators intimidate me sometimes just because you remind me of the old school days, and I wasn't probably your model student. But now you're stuck with me now as governor, so you think how that all works out in the education arena sometimes. But I got ready to come in the room, and my comms team had me prepared and everything, and then I get this superintendent, guy's named Jim Jones. You guys know who Jim Jones is? Somehow I kind of know him and his family a little bit, so Jim's over there on the door. He slaps me on the back. He says, it don't matter what you say today with everything that's going on. They're going to clap and stand for you just when you get your name introduced to walk in there for everything, just trying to get some kind of normalcy back in the education arena. So I remember that first time coming in here talking to all of you, and you're so kind to me in the circumstances we were. So my staff's got some great notes prepared today. They've tried to encourage me to stay on script this morning because I know the media's here, so I got to be careful about that. But I'll try to do the best I can to stay on script. But I was anxious to come here for the first time and just say thank you personally for what you've done and what you've been through, what we've all been through, not only as administrators, but in your normal lives too, your family lives. What you've done over the last 18, 19 months. I remember that first time I came in here and spoke. I think we were looking at totally the challenges of education, and I had such a vision, such a dream on workforce development, how we were going to do that. And I didn't quite know that we were going to have some of the worst droughts in our state's history, some of the worst flooding in our state's history, and then a pandemic on top of that, and how to cope with all that. But let me tell you the one thing that I'm a firm believer in. Leaders are leaders. And all of you in this room today is because you're leaders. You're not here by chance. You're here because you're supposed to be here. And I think it's when those trials in all of our lives that they make us better. It makes us better leaders, and it makes us meet the challenges. And there's no doubt in my mind, as crazy as the last 18, 19 months have been, that we were going to meet the challenges. That the one thing I knew is you still got to educate kids. That doesn't stop. It doesn't stop in the middle of anything. We just have to do that. That's part of the job we have to do. And I'm so thankful that everybody stayed the course. So first of all, I just want to say thanks before I ever get even started in remarks of the job you've done for staying the course. Because it would have been very easy to give up. It would have been, my daughter's a school teacher. And I talked to her many times, the challenges she had, the stress she had in her life, the things that she was going through. But never one time did she ever say, I don't want to teach these kids. Never one time did I hear that from her. It was always trying to figure out how do you get that done. So I think those are things that are important to do. And the other thing I want you to know, I told you 3 years ago, I trust you. And you haven't disappointed me. If I can't trust you to make the decisions for your hometowns, for your schools, for your administration, for your teachers, for your school kids. If I can't trust you to do that, you don't need to be in that position. And I probably don't need to be in the position I'm in, because I got to depend on you. That's just all there is to it, to be able to do that. I think back when this all first started, numbers that Margie and the board knows every time, and I want to thank the board too for everything that they do, for all the support they've given, and for staying the course also. But when all of a sudden you realize, statistically wise, close to 1 million students in the state of Missouri, 1 million, that we're all responsible for every day. Now we kind of get that routine where we think that's not such a big deal. We can do that. We know how it is to educate kids. You've been doing that all your lives. A lot of experience there. But all of a sudden you put you in the middle of a pandemic and you got 1 million kids out here. Now what are you going to do? How are we going to do that? 465,000 of them on free and reduced lunches. How do you feed them? Good, bad, or indifferent, like it or not, you're the security blanket to a lot of the kids in our state. And that's just the way it is. They depend on you. They depend on your teachers. They depend on your administration to help them for lots of things, whether that's in school, after school, whether that's health care, whether that's food. You can almost go down the list of all the things you're responsible for that you do day in and day out. Did you take granted? 125,000 of them special needs kids. When you are the governor of the state of Missouri, you are administrator in your systems, that burden falls on your shoulders to try to figure out how you do that. How do you take care of that? Nobody else is going to do it. You got to figure out how to do that. That's exactly what we did. That's exactly what you did, taking care of our kids. The safest, the best place our kids can be is with you. In a school setting, in a classroom, is the best place our kids can be in the state of Missouri. I will say that. 95% of the kids in our state were in classrooms last year. 95%. We were 5th in the United States of America for kids being in school classrooms. Some sort that credit goes to you. You may not know how important that was today, but I guarantee you in that kid's future, somewhere, some way, there will be an impact in that student's life, in your community's life for what you do. I think those are the things that are important. I think also when you think of understanding the virus, understanding what it is, what it means, what to do, and everybody wants to say, Governor, you got to mandate this, you got to do this, you got to do that. That may be the easiest thing to do sometimes, if you just simply do that. But the same token, I don't, in your schools, I'm not in your communities, I don't know what the best course of action is for you. I know Missouri is so diverse, it's very hard for anybody to make a blanket policy that fits every part of the state. It's just very difficult to do. And I believe in local control. I have said that since I've been governor, and I've took time and time again, I've been criticized because of that fundamental belief I have in local control. But I'm not going to change with that. You've got to make those decisions at home, and I've got to support you. And I don't have to because the law tells me to. I don't have to because there's somebody making me do that. It's because I believe in it. I believe in the system, and I believe if you let the system work, the vast majority of the time, you will get it right. And so will we. Not to say it's perfect by no means, but I just know what it's like. And K through 12, my gosh, when I talk about you on the front lines all the time, I guarantee you, you were tired, you were wore out, you were dealing with everything that, frankly, I was dealing with as governor, believe it or not, you were dealing with. Do I make them wear a mask? Do I not make them wear a mask? How do you keep a mask on a 5-year-old? I have no idea, so let me tell you that right now. I got grandkids, and I can't even make them do stuff. So I can't imagine being in a classroom and have that responsibility, although I'm sure you find out a way as teachers to make it happen if you want to make it happen. But all the pressure that goes along with that, the vaccines, is it safe? Is it not safe? Am I keeping my administration safe? What are all the things I did? And everybody expected you to have the answers for it too. You didn't have the answers for everything. You're doing the best you can, and I think we did. I think you did. And I think when you look at that, but I knew one thing all along, dealing with all these things I'm talking about today, I had to support public education. That process never quit. I couldn't ever decide, well, I want to talk about COVID all the time, I want to spend all the money on here, and let me cut back on education. Because you got CARES Act funding, because you got all that. The thought process we had at the governor's office all the time, we committed to fully funding the education formula. We were going to do that. We were going to find out what else we could do for education, because workforce went on, still had to provide jobs for the people of this state, and we continue to do that. But the one that I believe in so much, a couple of things I just want to share with you this morning, is two things I really set out to do. And I believe if you want to change society, if you want to change crime rate, if you want to change health care, if you really want to change some of the things that we don't like, the way we are in society today, it starts with early childhood development. And somehow, some way, you got to get a kid sitting in a classroom. I don't care how you do it. And if I could figure out some way to do that, if I had my wish list, I would make sure every kid had an opportunity to sit in the classroom, no matter what part of the state they was from, and be able to get early childhood learning. I will also tell you that I've learned in 3 years that early childhood development in the state of Missouri was not ran very efficiently whatsoever. Multiple divisions it was strung out through. Multiple departments it was strung out through. And everybody's trying to make decisions. Everybody didn't know what this side was doing, and this department didn't know this division didn't know this. So as governor, one of the good things you get to do every once in a while, you just get to put the brakes on. You just say, stop. I don't like this format. So we're going to change it. We are now going to make, and we now have one division, one department under DESE that deals with early childhood development. That is one of the best things that we'll probably ever do that'll get the least amount of attention that I'll get to do as governor. That's how important. If we get that right, we change society. We make things right. And the only way we can get that is through you to be able to do that. So I think that's important. Not only was that important, it was also $8.5 million, I believe, Margie, the early childhood development, that we actually invested money into that. A couple other investments, $20 million additional in the state budget for transportation. For some of you that might have a few bus routes going across the state of Missouri, $20 million extra money for that. 20 extra money in there for school safety. And those are just a few of the examples that we did this year. Now I want to talk about workforce development, because I told you that's one of the key things to the administration and what we're doing. And I've seen some incredible things as I traveled across the state of Missouri. I went to a lot of small schools, big schools, all across the state. And it's just remarkable what you're seeing kids are learning today about the jobs of tomorrow. And when I brought K through 12 together, Margie and the board, everybody brought them in there at one point early on in the administration. I brought the community colleges in there, the training centers in there, the four-year universities, and the private sector. And I said, gentlemen, ladies on the private sector, what is it you need this kid to know when they get out of high school? Because 70% of the people in this state don't have degrees. That means the vast majority of the people you're working with probably is not going to go get a four-year degree. And we have to understand that. Now, we would like for more and more people to get more education, but the truth is that's the way it is. So we got to make sure they're prepared for the workforce. So we teamed up, we come up with the criteria, and we started looking at how do we change that thing, such as certified work-ready communities in the state of Missouri, which that means every county in the state is doing something in their education systems, some sort of training for those high school kids to make sure it is a quality training for a job when they get out. Right now there's 102 out of the 114 counties that are doing that in the state of Missouri. So if you're one of those that are not, I encourage you to take a look at it and see if you can do that. You know, I think that's important. I think the Career Ready 101, Work Key Assessment, technical school and career centers we're putting across the state of Missouri. Missouri Excels, some of the things that we put in there. One of the things that I want you to think about too, when I tell you about that population that doesn't have those degrees, there was a program we started 3 years ago called Fast Track. Fast Track is something for the counselors would really know who these kids are, and most of you will. These are probably kids that when they graduated from high school, they maybe started college, they maybe got married, they maybe got jobs, but for whatever reason they didn't finish. They didn't complete the education. They had a high school degree at the time. I think we all have come to the reality that it takes more than a high school degree to really be prepared for the workforce tomorrow. So you're going to need some sort of certificate, you're going to need some sort of training, you're going to need community college, you're going to need further education once you get out. I think we're all pretty well in agreement to that we have to be able to do that. And I think when you look at the Fast Track program we started, a program that's free, it's a program for people that are 25 years and above. And they're the ones that I'm just talking about that just didn't finish education, but now they can go back if it's a high demand job, which there's plenty of criteria for that they can go back and get a job. You know, if they can get the training, whether it's a community college, whether it's a training center, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's healthcare, whatever it is, they can come back. Now, when we did this 3 years ago, we had no idea who was going to take advantage of this. We really didn't know who it would be. So we're just now finding out who that is. Let me share this with you. 80% of the people that took advantage of fast track in the state of Missouri were women. Women were the ones that took advantage of that program. The vast majority of them were in the healthcare industry. So what a blessing that was, considering everything we've been through, that they went through though. Those are the kind of things that really changes people's lives. So now let me tell you this. I'm talking about workforce development. I'll talk about infrastructure. And when I talk about infrastructure for a lot of you, a lot of times we think of roads, you know, you kind of do on the local levels, the bridges, the bus routes, and all that stuff. Infrastructure is much larger than that. If you want your state to grow, if you want it to prosper, you got to have the infrastructure in place. That means highways, that means railway, that means airports, that means river ports, that means broadband. For all of you to understand how important what we've been through with the pandemic, how important broadband is. Those are all part of the infrastructure program. If you get those things right, if you make those your priority, let me just read off a few things where the state of Missouri is right now. Remember I told you it was 5th in the United States for having kids in school last year? You know, I'm proud of that because I know I'm preparing those kids for tomorrow. You are. But let me tell you a couple other things about where we are in the state in the United States, where we rank. First in the United States for small business wage growth. First, which means we have jobs out there, and we are paying people a good wage, and we are expanded businesses in the state of Missouri. During the pandemic, over $2 billion worth of business expansions in the state of Missouri. Tens of thousands of new jobs. I'm not talking about the jobs we lost, I'm talking about new jobs. And the only way you get them is making sure somebody looks at you and say, are you doing something for the workforce of tomorrow? We are second in the United States for apprenticeships. Every one of you in this room should get credit for that. Second in the United States for apprenticeship. I don't even want to tell you who's first. It's just total embarrassment. California. How could that be? I just don't think they can do anything better than we can in Missouri. But I'm totally biased here. But we are second behind California on that. We're 7th in the United States for people wanting to come to our state and live, which means they're bringing their families and their kids into your classrooms. We are 8th in the United States for best place to work for nurses. We are 10th in the United States for new business expansion. We are 11th in the United States for site selection. What site selections mean? That means people look in our state to develop their companies. Chewy Pet Food in Belton, Missouri, 1,200 new jobs. Central Federal Services in St. Louis, 1,400 new jobs. Casey's General Store in Joplin, Missouri, 200 new jobs. And you can go on down the list, but the only reason they do that is because you're preparing for the workforce of tomorrow. In conclusion, I've learned that from a speaker now. I didn't ever learn that in school. I want you all to know that. But when you say in conclusion, that means you're supposed to hurry up, finish up. I was going to say hurry up and shut up, but anyhow, I don't know if that's proper or not. Yesterday, my comms director, I was down in southeast Missouri, and I said ain't. And all of a sudden, I got that look like, uh-oh. Could you imagine having a comms director as an English teacher? I mean, it's terrible. I'm just telling you right now, you know. You can't chew gum when you're up here speaking. You got to watch what you say. It's a tough old arena for a high school boy from Wheatland, Missouri, I'll tell you that. Let me just say this again and finish it up. As you can see, Missouri's and our education system is on the right track, and I firmly believe that. But we know your profession is not easy. And believe me, I've seen the good and the bad and how tough this environment is. With the ever-changing world of the economy, all of you are required to adapt to ensure Missouri's education system and students remain competitive with the rest of the nation. Every day we have to compete with every state in the United States. And there's no better example than all of you in 2020. 5th in the United States. Don't take that lightly for everybody you went up against. And while you, maybe me every once in a while, are put through the ringer, it seems like, can't make anybody happy. People want you to do one thing, people want you to wear a mask, people don't want you to wear a mask, and you're trying to figure out how to get through that. Well, I'll tell you how you do it. You stand up, you do your job, you do what's best for your kids, and you do what you signed up to do. And you're going to be just fine. People respect you, whether they agree with you sometimes or not, but stay the course. Stay the course, and at the main deal, you should be thinking of what is best for that kid out there, because that's your job. Your job's not to make all the parents happy. Your job's not to get another contract. Your job is to take care of those kids and the environment you're in. I think that's the important thing you do. There's something I always talk about that if you ever want to read it, President Roosevelt wrote it one time. It's called The Man in the Arena. And I'll just say the person in the arena. If you've never read that, you should read it. And you probably should pass it down to your administration and your school teachers. And it talks about the challenge you have if you are the one in the arena while everybody judges you. But the truth is, they don't know because they've never been in the arena, and they're normally the ones telling you the good, the bad, and the difference of your jobs. Stay the course, I'll tell you. Stay the course. You've been criticized before. You're not going to melt. You're not going to go away. Stay the course. Your superintendents, your administrators, you're there for a reason, like I told you in the beginning. I think that's what's important, that you got to be able to do that. I think the vast majority of the people in this state respect you every day. I really do. Get all the clutter out of your heads. From the right or from the left. I don't care which the clutter is. Just get it out of your heads. Because if you listen to that, and you listen to social media, and you try to live your life by that, good luck. You'll probably be somewhere in a facility for people like that goes crazy trying to do those kind of adjustments. I don't know if I was supposed to say that either, but I just did. That may be the headlines tomorrow. Governor says people are going crazy. Well, if they are, so am I. So I'll be sitting with you if we're getting someplace. I'm just telling you, stay the course. People respect what you do every day. All the controversy that you hear, lots of people like to deal with controversy, but I tell you the vast majority of Missourians are in the middle. That's where they are. They're not on extreme right, they're not on the extreme left. Running for a state, to be the governor of the state of Missouri in the middle of a pandemic, I'll be honest with you, it was the toughest 19, 20 months to be a governor I could imagine. And you were going through the same things I were going through. You really were. And you're trying to figure out, does really people like what you're doing or do they not? Do they really support me or do they not? To a lot of people's dislike, probably, and to a lot of people that did, when you win an election like we won an election, taking a balanced approach, letting you make decisions, letting people freedom be at the forefront of what we do, and really living by those standards, it proved to be the right standard, and the people in the state appreciate it, just like they appreciate what you do every day. Don't take that for granted. Don't let people criticize you for educating a child. That's not what you should be criticized for. If they disagree, they disagree. We live in America, that's fine to disagree. Stay the course. Stay the course. I got confidence in you. I got confidence in you. I got confidence in the board. I got confidence in Margie. But your job's not over, and you're going to walk through in this year, and you're going to have a tough year in front of you. I'm just telling you right now, there's no easy path I can give you. You know the circumstances we're going into. The Delta variant's out there. It's a serious deal, and you got to pay attention to it. But you still got to educate kids. Can't pack your bags and go home. You're going to be in those classrooms. You got to educate kids, and you'll do that. It is an honor and privilege to be your 57th governor of the great state of Missouri. God bless you. God bless Missouri, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you all for having me here today. Thank you.